Hey, this is Chris Franco, and you are listening to Compound Money Quietly, the CMQ Investing Podcast. CMQ investors, welcome to the show. It is great to have you here. If you have not yet subscribed or followed the podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, make sure you take a quick second and do that. That way you will be first to receive updates about these new episodes, and you'll be able to use this information before everyone else. I have some news. I have some things that are going on that I need to talk to you about. It's a little bit different than in previous episodes because I'm going to share with you something I'm dealing with in my own investments or with my own investments right now. What I uncovered here, I think, could be relevant to anyone who's listening, or many of you who are listening. And I also know that some of you who are listening are in the position where you might have a better answer than I do. And I'm honestly just trying to figure this out. So I'm guesstimating right now, but I have about 40% of my assets are with a major financial institution, investment bank. I'm not sure what the correct pronouns are, so to speak. And I'm going to have to say that again because I have a wealth advisor / financial advisor. I'm not sure what depending on like if I'm looking at their LinkedIn or if I'm looking at the institution website, that name kind of seems like it's switched around. Like sometimes it's wealth advisor, sometimes it's financial advisor. You get the idea. The point is I'm paying fees. I'm paying fees on about 40% of the money that I have. Now, look, we have wealth advisors who listen to the show. I'm not suggesting that their services are unnecessary or that their fees are, unwarranted. These services, these institutions, I should say, they're not completely deleting value in the form of their fees. For example, if I ever wanted to sell my business, I would probably turn to this institution first. Look, I'm not going to get into it, but you get what I'm trying to say. I just have been digging into this. You guys know how I dig into stuff. And within this relationship, some of the money is in cash. I'm often questioning that. Over the years, I've been saying, why do we have this in cash? What's the point? At certain points, I've actually taken it out and done my own things with it because my mind is like, well, if you don't have any ideas for it, I do. And I don't want it just to sit there. But I was reading into the fine print a couple days ago, and I came across this. I'm going to read it to you right now. I've altered the wording just ever so slightly because I'm not trying to call out any. This is not like the Robin Hood episode where I'm calling out Robin Hood for all their transgressions. This is just me trying to figure something out. So it says that uninvested cash is used to generate revenue for us and our affiliates. These cash balances earn a lower rate of return on that cash than might otherwise be obtained. We also charge the advisory fee on your uninvested cash balances in advisory accounts. Hard stop. If I have cash that, they're not doing anything with, it's one thing if they're using it to go out and, make more money. But the fact that they also charge the advisory fee on the uninvested cash, to me, that was like, are you kidding me? And here's why, if it's not clear. Right now with inflation, inflation is always happening. Like I think the Fed tries to keep it at about 2% a year, so they say. If your cash is just sitting in a checking account, for example, it's losing purchasing power. You are losing purchasing power. Currently, you're losing more purchasing power than you would have, let's say a year ago, because inflation is, as you've heard in a previous episode, it's pretty heavy duty right now. So, okay, but that's not their fault. That is just the nature of the world right now. So it's losing its value. And not only is it losing its value, they're not doing anything to go, at least try to maintain that purchasing power that I have in the form of that cash by, responsibly investing that money. It's just sitting idle in I don't want to get into all the jargon, actually. That'll just slow us down. So it's in there, it's sitting in there, and it's not doing anything. The only thing that it's doing is it's being eaten by inflation. But that's not all. This is the part that really grinds my gears. We charge the advisory fee on your uninvested cash balances. So, let's say the fee is 1%. Let's just throw a random number out. So they're making money on me for that money that's there. Like it just feels almost predatory. I read contracts. I look at the fine print. But with this particular relationship, it's a relationship. I've known the gentleman who is my wealth advisor. I've known him for quite some time. I know his Our families know each other. So there is a certain level of friendliness to the relationship, even though we're really not friends. It's weird for me to say that, but when I think about it, like, no, it's a transactional relationship that is, it feels good. He's always pumped up to see me, and he's a very nice guy, and we have plenty in common. But we're not calling each other to hang out. And there is part of the relationship that I value as a client, where like the fee part of it, even though I'm shifting away from that almost entirely, there is a certain comfort in it. And if you're wondering, why didn't you move, or why don't you have all your money under, like, let's say the low cost index fund, that's what you talk about. Well, totally true. But I have a retirement account that's through my business, and that was set up through this institution. I have back when, there wasn't Robinhood, and it was much more difficult for someone who was, let's say at the time I was 23. First of all, I didn't have much money to invest. But the money I did have to invest, it wasn't like I think there probably were ways to do it, but it was not like now. It's totally different now. It's so easy for anyone to just, you can buy a fractional share. And I think that's really cool. But I don't want to sit here and, beat myself up like, yeah, this is, why don't I have all my money under my management? Now, and part of it too is I don't want to just get overconfident, because let's say, this has been a long ride for me to get to this point where I am with my own education or self-education about investing. But, I'm not ready to take the 100% plunge yet. And I also want to add this institution in particular offers certain services unrelated to, like, stocks. If I ever want to sell my business, or I'm approached and I'm looking to have some sort of what do they call it, a liquidity event, which I love. It sounds so cool. I had a liquidity event. If you have these agreements or you have these arrangements, make sure you're getting the absolute latest, because they are updated often and they have little changes that could be very much affecting how your money is growing over the long term. So we have people who listen. We have listeners, I should say. We have fellow CMQ investors who are wealth advisors, and we love having them as listeners. I do not look down on the business or anything like that. I think it all comes down to your own needs and relationship. But if anyone knows anything about this that I'm missing, like as to why this practice exists, I'd love to hear from you. And I also want to let you know that we will be doing interviews. I don't want to put a firm date on that, because I don't want to set expectations that we can't meet. And actually, I don't want to set expectations that we can't exceed. But, some of the first interviews I would like to have are with those of you who are in the wealth management business. It's not really necessary to talk about right now. We need to talk about what the heck is going on with my uninvested cash. I'm actually going to pull this up right now. I'm just curious what I'll find. If there's anything else I could share with you that you go, oh my God, it's like when you retire, you work for us, buddy. I highlighted a couple other parts that I thought were worth bringing up with my advisor. This is an interesting one. It says, we buy securities from you or sell securities to you from our affiliates' inventory. We typically earn compensation by marking up the price of the securities we sell to you, or by marking down the price of the securities we buy from you. So if I'm reading that correctly, is this serious? Because why? I know why, so you can make more money, but isn't that kind of dirty? And then I was looking up what the rules were about markups, and the actual, and this came down, I believe, from FINRA, which we've mentioned in the Robinhood episode, but it cannot be above, or it should not be above 5% of a markup. But still, 5% is a meaningful markup. It's like, really, that's how you do it. So it says, yeah, they buy securities from you or sell securities to you from our inventory or their affiliates' inventory. And when they do this, they typically, the language is typically. So, this has been scrutinized by lawyers. They're not saying, sometimes, it's typically, meaning let's actually look up that definition, because I love definitions of words are so fun, because there's no getting around it. In most cases, usually. So they usually charge me more than what they should charge me. They're making money on me. Never mind the fact that they're making money on me because they charge me fees based on assets under management. So when we talk about fees, we're actually getting hammered even more. It's just done in a very classy way, and you have to really dig into the details to find out. It's like you married somebody. Let's say you married someone and you find out that they have some genetic thing where they grow tails, like their great grandfather grew a tail. And I don't know why that would be a deal breaker. Look, maybe it wouldn't be. Maybe you're like, I'm into tails. I don't know. But so you marry someone and they never told that to you. They're like, yeah, my family, we're part of this very like rare breed, and we grow tails. So like when we have kids probably gonna have a tail. It skips a generation. So you can be the parent that talks to them about that, because it's gonna be really hard for them, and you can't saw it off. You like where my imagination's going? So it's like, you should tell me that already. I should already know that. It's kind of in a relationship, you don't want to find this stuff out after the fact. I do not like this. And I don't like the fact that I'm finding it out this way. This should be on the statements. And I think to any of you that are out there who are wealth advisors, I know that the incentives are not in my favor here. Like, you're not going to just stamp that on your statements, not because you're dishonest, but look, there's an industry practice. I get it. I'm not judging. This is not like Robin Hood. But I do think that where things are going in terms of what the expectation is from the consumer and from your clients, you can't do this stuff much longer. I don't think this is going to last much longer. You're going to either have to be transparent or stop doing it or find a different way to make money, because there's just too many other options. This isn't like 10 years ago where I'm kind of stuck with this. Like, well, that's, I feel safer going this route. No, I don't like this at all. But the biggest thing, though, is this uninvested cash. The fact that my cash is doing nothing except losing value, and it's added to my total assets under management, which is what my fees are being multiplied against. So I don't like that at all. And I think that's just bad practice. And frankly, I'm vigilant with this stuff, but clearly I wasn't vigilant enough with the fine print. But it wasn't like when I started this relationship, anyone ever handed me this stuff. Now, look, I'm not saying that as a legal statement. So if not trying to get anyone sued, and that's why I also haven't mentioned the name of the institution. I don't want to embarrass anyone or get anyone in trouble, but this is the kind of stuff that I hope we can all look into. I'm glad I found it now. Think if I had found it, I'm 33, so think if I found this at 43 or 53, or 203 when I'm on Mars with Elon Musk, and we live in a world where everything is paid for in hugs and or Dogecoin. I'd be pretty ticked, but then I wouldn't be ticked because Elon Musk would be my best friend and we'd ride Tesla and, we'd be living the Doge fantasy life. So that's really what I wanted to talk about. I hope you learned something. I'd love to hear from you. A friend of the show, a friend of mine, his name is Jim, because I know that he would have an explanation for this as well. But make sure you read the fine print, and make sure you keep on compounding money. And also, please remember, this is not financial advice. I do not have a conclusive answer. I could be misinterpreting something about what I'm reading in these documents. And if you have a wealth advisor, don't call them up and confront them. Let me confront mine first. I'm not going to confront them, but we're going to talk about it, and I will let you know what I learn. Hey, it's your boy, Jimmy New York. Baby! And nobody messes with Jimmy's cash, baby. Hey, Jimmy, how are ya? What brings you by?
Oh, I came to check on ya. Heard you bumped your head.
Bump my head? No. Jimmy, come here. This has been Compound Money Quietly, the CMQ Investing podcast. My name is Chris Franco. Thank you for listening. We'll talk soon.